Hi everyone, and welcome to the tutorial on photosynthesis. Today we are going to look at all the various aspects of photosynthesis from the light-dependent reaction to the light-independent reaction. So, first off, there's two types of organisms, two main types, heterotrophs and autotrophs. Heterotrophs are feeding organisms that eat plant and animals. Okay? Autotrophic are organisms that produce their own food and energy from sunlight or other means, such as chemical reactions. This leads us to chemosynthesis. Okay, so chemosynthesis is organisms that use chemical energy within organic molecules. This energy comes from oxidizing reactions. So what this reaction involves is the addition of oxygen or the removal of electrons from a substance. Okay, examples include bacteria who obtain energy by converting ammonia ions to nitrate ions or nitrate ions to nitrate. All right. Okay, whole communities of these organisms live, heterotrophic organisms live around these bacteria, okay, and they usually live around hot springs or places where there is no sunlight, okay, and they use chemosynthesis to generate their energy. Photosynthesis, on the other hand, involves plants, algae, and protists, such as phytoplankton, trapping light energy to make organic compounds such as sugars from carbon dioxide and water, okay. Photosynthesis is the process which uses light to transform chemical energy. Okay, so we're capturing light energy and we're making simple sugars from it. All right. Organisms that can do this are termed producers, and organisms that rely indirectly or directly on these producers are called consumers. Now here we have the word equation for photosynthesis and the molecular equation for photosynthesis. All right. So carbon dioxide and water in the presence of light and chlorophyll is turned to glucose and oxygen. And here's the formula. So, where does photosynthesis occur? Photosynthesis occurs in certain cells in a plant. Okay, so the main point here is that photosynthesis does not occur in all cells. It usually only occurs in leaf cells. All right, and in the leaf, you have this thing called chlorophyll, this green pigment, and this is what captures the sunlight and allows the organism to produce energy from it. Okay, and these chlorophyll molecules are present in chloroplasts. So why are leaves so special? Why does photosynthesis usually only occur there? Well, first of all, the flat shape of the leaf provides a large surface area for exposing to sunlight. Okay, this is important as a large surface area equals a large surface area to volume ratio, which enables the reactions to proceed at a more efficient rate. Okay, the presence of stomata on the underside of the pores of the leaf provides access for the leaf to inhale carbon dioxide. Okay, so carbon dioxide enters the stomata through diffusion and is used by the leaf to transform into glucose. The thinness of the leaf, in the presence of its internal air sacs, enables the ready diffusion of carbon dioxide into the photosynthetic leaf cell. Okay, and this enables the cell to then generate glucose from this reaction. All right, there's a network of xylem inside the plant, and this transports the water to the leaf. It's a common misconception that the leaf actually can get water from the outside, from the atmosphere. It can't do this. It can only access water that comes into the leaf via transpiration. Okay, so the water comes up the xylem and into the leaf and is used in photosynthesis. Now, each photosynthetic cell possesses many chloroplasts, enabling it to trap enough sunlight energy to turn carbon dioxide and water into glucose. Okay, so chloroplasts are present in the cells of plants and algae, okay, and they contain a double membrane structure, an outer and inner membrane. This is important when we talk about electron transport of the chloroplasts, okay, because this is what allows the energy or the ATP to be created to enable CO2 to be converted into glucose. Now, these inner membranes form a system of membranous sacs known as thylakoids, and it's within these stacks that grana. So grana is several of these stacks formed together, okay, and it's within the grana that the chlorophyll is located, and this is the site of light-dependent reaction of photosynthesis. So this is where the light energy is actually taken and converted into chemical energy. Okay, the semi-fluid substance that surrounds the grana, this is known as the stroma, and this is where the light-independent reaction of photosynthesis takes place. So chlorophyll. There are multiple types of chlorophyll, A, B, and C, and they're a pigment that absorbs or traps the light. Okay, the chlorophyll A is the major photosynthetic pigment and is found in all photosynthetic plants, protists, and cyanobacteria. Okay, So chlorophyll molecules are embedded in the membrane of the grana, and they absorb wavelengths of violet to blue and red light. Okay, that is the light that best enables photosynthesis to occur. They reflect green light, okay, and this is why the light that you see bouncing off leaves, this is why you see leaves and trees as being green, okay, because the chlorophyll is reflecting green light. So photosynthesis is a two-step process. The photo is capturing the light, the synthesis is combining the energy from this light reaction with the carbon dioxide to form glucose. Now, it's created by two steps: the light-dependent stage, involving the trapping of light, and the light-independent stage, which involves using this trapped energy to create organic compounds. So here we have the stages of the light reaction and the dark reaction. Okay, so the light reaction is the light-dependent, and the dark reaction is the light-independent. So light-dependent reaction, okay, also known as the light reaction, occurs within the grana of the chloroplast and requires water as well as light energy in order to produce oxygen and ATP molecules. It is this ATP that is then used by the light-independent reaction. So the light-dependent reaction uses chlorophyll to trap light energy. This energy is used to produce ATP, right, and split water molecules to form hydrogen ions, which are essential for light-independent reaction. Okay, these hydrogen ions are gathered by NADP, okay, a carrying molecule, a hydrogen or electron carrying molecule. NADP becomes NADPH and transports the H+ ions from the grana to the stroma, where they will be used in the light-independent reaction, okay, along with ATP. Here is a summary of the light-dependent reaction. Water enters the top. Okay, light energy is used to split the water molecule into oxygen and hydrogen. The hydrogens are then used, right, in electron transfer to create carrier hydrogens, which is then used in the light-independent reaction along with the ATP that is produced from the electrons that were taken from the splitting of water, okay, which is the input of light. The oxygen is then released to the surrounding environment, okay. So the light-independent reaction, known as dark reaction or the Calvin cycle, okay, it occurs in the stroma and involves the reduction of carbon. And what this means is that carbon is eventually turned into from a single molecule of carbon into a 6 molecule of carbon known as glucose. And this requires ATP and hydrogen atoms in order to become glucose, obviously, right? So this does not directly depend on light. Alright, so this process does not require light and so it can occur at any time. The light-dependent reaction, right, carbon from CO2 is then used to create glucose, alright, from carbon dioxide and hydrogen ions. Carbon dioxide can come from the air surrounding the leaf or from cellular respiration of the plant itself. Okay, the ATP and loaded carrier molecules are required to come from the light-dependent stage of photosynthesis. The H+ is the reducing agent, and the ATP is the source of energy for reducing carbon dioxide to organic compounds such as glucose and other sugars. Plants do not build sugar simply by joining CO2 molecules together. Okay, sugar formation involves a cyclic set of reactions in which intermediate substances are formed. So, here we have the overview of the light-independent reaction. Carbon dioxide enters, okay? So do the hydrogen ions and the ATP. This all occurs in the stroma, and through a series of steps, okay, the CO2 is converted into glucose, with carriers being freed up into NADP and the ATP becoming NADP plus PI. So here's the overview of the processes. So H2O enters the chloroplast and goes to the grana or the thylakoid stacks, where combined with light is converted into O2, NADPH and ATP. The NADPH and ATP then enters the light-independent cycle, okay? This requires CO2 from the atmosphere in order to be converted into glucose, and the whole process is repeated over again. So, factors that influence photosynthesis include light intensity, carbon dioxide availability, temperature, and other indirect factors. So, light intensity. The rate of photosynthesis usually increases with light intensity until there is another limiting factor such as chloroplast saturation or temperature. So with light intensity you get a temperature increase usually in the natural environment, and this can prevent photosynthesis from occurring. So about 20% of the light that hits the leaf is reflected and only 1% is absorbed. So you can see here light intensity increases, right, and the rate of photosynthesis increases to a point where it can no longer increase anymore. So carbon dioxide. The amount of carbon dioxide in the air can also influence the rate of photosynthesis, okay? So carbon dioxide dissolves from the air into the cells of the leaf that undergo photosynthesis. There is also local variations in carbon dioxide levels at different times of the day and different regions. Okay, aquatic plants can also use hydrogen carbonate, right, which is the carbonic acid, which forms when carbon dioxide dissolves into the water. Okay, the CO2 released from plants via cellular respiration can also be used for photosynthesis. Now, the compensation point indicates the point at which the rate of photosynthesis equals the rate of respiration in relation to CO2. So the rate of photosynthesis taking up CO2 and the rate of respiration releasing CO2 is equal. Okay, this compensation point, there is no net photosynthesis. All right, so at low levels of light intensity, the rate of photosynthesis is less than the rate of cellular respiration. So there is a net output of carbon dioxide by plants. When the light intensity increases, at which a rate of carbon dioxide produced by cellular respiration equals the rate of carbon dioxide, this is known as, produced by photosynthesis, this is known as the light compensation point. So temperature. Now, when temperature increases, okay, plants undergo better photosynthesis because usually the light intensity increases. But as the hotter it gets, the less likely photosynthesis to occur. The reason being is because as temperature increases, the water is leaving the plant via transpiration increases. So plants don't want to lose that much water, and so what they do is they close their stomata. And by closing the stomata on the presence on the underside of the leaf, what this does is it prevents carbon dioxide from entering the leaf. Now, if this occurs, the plant then prevents photosynthesis from occurring, because without carbon dioxide you can't complete the light independent reaction and produce glucose. So indirect factors. Photosynthesis requires water. Alright? If there is not enough water, the plant will close its stomata and thus prevent or decrease the rate of photosynthesis. The level of chlorophyll. Some leaves and plants have different amounts of chlorophyll present in their photosynthetic cells. Okay? This means that with less chlorophyll you will produce less photosynthesis. Now, chlorophyll requires nitrogen and magnesium elements in order to function properly. Now, if the soil that the plant is in is deficient in these nutrients, then it will not undergo photosynthesis at a high rate. Okay, it will not have sufficient chlorophyll in order to undergo photosynthesis properly. The rate of photosynthesis, okay, can be affected by other conditions. So photosynthesis will be limited by one factor at a time, but if conditions in an individual chloroplast change, the particular factors that it is limited by also change. For example, carbon dioxide levels that are adequate, right, not limiting in conditions of low light, may become limiting if the light intensity increases. Okay, so here we are, photosynthesis. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for watching.